Yo, what's cracking? What is cracking? What is up? It's your boy, ADQ. Welcome to yet another episode of ADQ's Renaissance. I'm your host with the most, keeping it 100 from coast to coast through God our host, ADQ. It is Sunday, January the 2nd, 2022. So, I know I'm live on my channel. It's my channel. So, hope you all are tuning in. Y'all settle in. Me and my homie, we are about to chop it up. We're about to chop it up big time. First thing first, I gotta tell you, I just been notified that two very good friends of mine just purchased tickets to Battle of the Books. March 19th, 2022, 7 p.m. Van Dyke Performance Space. Ain't no www, my bad. http://ADQ Battle of the Books.eventbrite.com. That is what it's going to take for you to get tickets to this incredible affair. Battle of the Books. Now, since we're talking theater today, oh, by the way, if you are in North Carolina, come through, pull up. You know what I'm saying? Tap in. First of all, I want to give all glory to God because on Friday night after me, this was after I had my incredible interview with Corey Jones, Mr. Petty. Shout out to him. I found out that I am COVID positive. Yeah, man. Yeah. But let me tell you something. This live alkaline water been keeping me right. This live alkaline water, heavyenergyuniversity.com, been keeping me right. Right now, I feel fine. I feel, what's the word I'm looking for? When you don't have any symptoms, asymptomatic. Right now, I feel asymptomatic. I'm sweating like a mother though. But other than that, I promise you all, I feel fine. I feel good. God's great. Coughing a little bit, but it's all good. I'm going to get through this. Now, you are tuning in to ADQ's Renaissance, and me and my homie are about to have a conversation. Like I said, me and my homie are about to have a conversation. Who is my homie? My homie is like a little brother to me. This is a man who I have a lot of love and respect for. He is an incredible actor, rapper, writer, spoken word artist in his own right. He comes to us from the 919, but he's holding it down here in the 336. We are going to talk about the incredible movie that is Tick, Tick, Boom. Why are we going to talk about Tick, Tick, Boom? Because we have opinions, we have thoughts on the writer of the original piece that is Tick, Tick, Boom. We have opinions on the director of Tick, Tick, Boom, the movie. We have opinions on everything that we would like to just chop up and stuff. If you're a theater person, Jonathan Larson means something to you. If you are in the theater, Jonathan Larson means something to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to ADQ's Renaissance, my homie, my brother, my very good friend, Lorin Kaplan. Yo, Lorin, what's cracking, my man?
Hello. I'm very happy to be back again. Last time I was supposed to be on, I think I had an emergency situation. I think my cat at the time had to go to the emergency room, if I remember. So I'm very glad to be back and not dealing with something like that, better circumstances and all. And I'm excited to get into this. I'm really excited to talk about this movie. I definitely want to talk about Jonathan Larson. I want to talk about Andrew Garfield because I think despite him being a very mainstream white guy who's an actor, I feel like he doesn't get enough love. I think he's a little underrated. So I do want to talk about him. So I'm excited for today.
Man, I am excited to have you, and I'm excited to talk about this. First thing first, I want to say that the casting of Andrew Garfield to play Jonathan Larson was incredible. I mean, you know, he almost looks just like him.
Yeah, no, I mean it's they did a good job actually of matching up most of the characters to the real life people. They did a really good job of having them look similar and have similar mannerisms, and they recreated his apartment perfectly, piece by piece. They recreated the diner he used to work in perfectly. There's a lot of stuff they did that was very, very meticulous, and I do respect it. The music in this film is fantastic.
It sounded like it was something fresh out of Jonathan Larson's notebook.
It was, this is the first time I've really heard Lin Manuel Miranda lean into more traditional sounds, although in Jonathan Larson's time they would have been more experimental. Right. But it's interesting hearing Lin lean into Jonathan's style and the stylings of his time and what he was trying to do, and writing music that some of it was just music from Tick Tick Boom, some of it was music from Lin's own mind that represented certain moments in Jonathan Larson's life, like, or certain aspects of his personality. Like, I watched this great video breakdown the other day of Andrew Garfield and Lin Manuel Miranda sitting together and breaking down the scene where it's like, this is the life, bo. That one where they're in the apartment, they're all like partying because he got the grant to do the workshop.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and one thing they talk about is, first of all, they had a bunch of Jonathan Larson's friends in the room there. They had cast members from Rent in the room there. Like crazy little nods that unless you were super involved or super researching, you just wouldn't catch. But they did that, which I thought was really interesting. And they also capture the spirit of Jonathan Larson, which I think is a big through line for this piece of work and a big important thing to call out, which is sort of the fact that normal everyday things are worth celebrating, that music is in everything. And I we're talking about the music right now, and that's what I'm feeling excited about in this moment. So I'm bringing it around to that because I think that song really epitomizes, like he talks about at one point, he wrote a damn jingle for packets of sugar at his diner,
Yeah.
That spirit is all throughout this film. You can really feel it in the music. You can tell Lin really tried to channel Jonathan Larson, and I think he succeeded.
It's kind of like the theme of the entire film was fear or love, and and he was like trying to balance the fear of being 30 because he was about to turn 30. He was trying to balance the fear of being unaccomplished by the age of 30, and whether or not he should continue to do this thing, theater, they very much loved. So I could tell you I could very much personally relate with that.
Yeah. See, I think you more than me, because like you are right at the age he's at in this story.
Well,
you're a little bit younger. You're close,
Well, actually, I'm 36. It's all good. Hey, black don't crack. I look young, but I know what it's like to have that argument within yourself. I'm 30. Oh my God. Steven Sondheim was younger than me when he did his first production on Broadway. I'm younger than the daggone Beatles was when they did whatever. That's what he was saying. I have that same argument with myself. I'm older than Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, look what he's doing. This, that, and the third. I'm older than Denzel Washington was when he did his first film. Yeah. Morgan Freeman is constantly my saving grace. But that's one thing that keeps occurring throughout the entire film is Jonathan Larson, which is what, if I'm not mistaken, the original Tick Tick Boom was based around was him battling with the fact that he was about to turn 30.
Yeah, it was also I could be wrong on this. Let me try to reference. Yeah, it was the next work he did right after Superbia, and because I think what he was told was write what you know,
Yes.
and that's like a big thing at the end of the movie. But I think he probably drew that conclusion even if no one told it to him. I'm not sure how that went down. I'm not sure how much of the movie is like fantastical, but I do know that Tick Tick Boom came after, and for him was like deeply self-referential, kind of like every artist in their lifetime has an almost autobiographical or straight up autobiographical or one-man show piece of work that they do. Everybody has one, and this was definitely his of that, and it actually I think was one of his first pretty well received projects, and gave him legitimacy that he really needed to keep working and writing, and down the line leads to him writing Rent, because I think that's the next piece that does well. Um, yeah,
Have you ever seen have you ever seen the documentary that accompanies Rent? I think it's called No Daylight Today.
I know the documentary you're talking about. My girlfriend tried to get me to watch it, and it was right after we watched Tick Tick Boom, and I was just so emotionally spent, and I was like, nah. So I just haven't checked it out yet. I should have done that before today. So
Well, in that case, wait till you're in a better mood to watch No Daylight Today because that'll emotionally spend you as well. And you'll learn that most of the characters in Rent were pretty much modeled after his real life friends.
yeah,
But excuse me, COVID. Having that fight, yo. I'm fighting COVID. But yo, I will tell you one another character that I very much related to was Michael. Now, while I'm not
mm,
Hispanic and I'm not gay like Michael is, Michael basically says, "Screw acting. I want to be part of the 1%. I want to be an elitist, and I'm going for it."
yeah, yeah. No, I get that. I get that sentiment. I thought
Like,
you would relate. I thought you would relate more into that moment where he calls Jonathan Larson out and says, "You act so oppressed, and you have every opportunity in the world. You're a straight white man in a world built for you. I can't have kids. I can't do what you want to do. Me
mm,
choosing to quote unquote sell out in your mind is me actually giving myself a chance, which I didn't have before. You can do whatever you want. I can't, you know? So I thought you would call out that moment, but it's interesting you kind of brought it back to that choice between do I survive and then eventually thrive, at least taking care of the bare minimum, or do I struggle and go through pain and hardship to make my art? You know?
yes, and man, that's another fight that I'm pretty sure all artists, especially when they hit the other side of 30, that's another struggle that they have. Jonathan Larson said, "Yo, I'm going to continue to fight for my art." Um, Michael, he said, "Hey, you know what? I probably don't even have that much longer on this earth. Screw the art. I want to give me some money, right?"
Yeah. I want to be comfortable before I die. You know? I don't want to have to deal with roaches in my soda cans when I wake up. Little things like that. Shit.
Have you ever dealt with roaches before?
Oh yeah, man.
Me
I
too.
I, I my dad and I are in this weird situation because at one point my dad was making good money, so we like got in a good neighborhood, and then he stopped making good money, and we were like straight up poor for like 10 years straight. So we dealt with roaches, we dealt with like moments of food being hard to get. We had good friends who helped us out, but like there were some times, there definitely. And we lived in like a 100-year-old house. So yeah, we had roaches and bugs and all sorts of shit to deal with.
Mm.
So I do get that. Like, I have been there.
What about the film like really stood out to you? Like really punched you in the gut? Was like, oh wow, yo, I can't believe that actually happened.
There are a lot of moments that really hit me, really hard. The whole movie, I'm younger right now. I'm like 22, but I kind of feel myself. I was at a similar crossroads up until recently, and maybe still kind of am. I've gone in and out of being in love with making art and just wanting to be done with it. Because I just feel frustrated. I know, and I'm young as hell to be in that spot, but I've just been so frustrated with my experience of certain things, and also like I've had stuff in my personal life that I don't need to get into that kind of like made me just sort of freeze up, and then I was surviving day by day, and you can't make great art if you can barely focus on surviving.
Mm-hmm.
At that point you've got to make sure you can eat. So
Yeah.
I spent the last like 2 years kind of doing that, and I worked on some stuff on the side, but I didn't put myself into it in the same way I used to. And so now it's like I've got my shit a little more together, and I'm kind of like waking up, and I'm like, oh shit, how do I plug back into this? And watching this movie, it like was really comforting to me, because I was like, okay, like everyone deals with this, even the greats. Like it sucks sometimes, like I've recently met a couple different artists who have told me like, and they've made great art. They've come back to it and they're active as hell again. They're making good money doing it. They're getting distribution on their films, but they've told me like, yeah, I took a 5-10 year break. I made a film and thought it would be my last one. So like it's been comforting kind of hearing that information and processing it. I think the moments though narratively in the film that really stick out to me um, are the fight he has with his best friend. I think that hits really, really hard. I think a moment that hits really hard for me is when he finds out people loved his workshop and that there's no way in hell it's going to get distribution. That moment where he realizes, okay, 5 more years of my heart and soul and everything I have in me, and it might fail again, but I just have to do it. When he makes that leap to say, I am going to do that, I love that. I think all the scenes about the relationship between himself and what was his girlfriend's name? I'm sorry.
Susan.
Susan, that's right. The whole relationship between them, I found that very powerful, and deeply moving at times, because you know people are figuring things out, right? Everybody, there's no right or wrong way to live life, and it's sad to see two people who are good for each other, but also maybe not good for each other in other ways. You know, making decisions and not letting each other in to the point that it does damage to that relationship. I found that really interesting to watch. Um, I think the realization of Michael's condition, that's a really, really hard scene. The following song after that,
Yeah.
where he talks about, how it starts, where it's just, let's go to the Y and do a singing competition. Um, and we all got our starts in different ways. Like I was doing community kids theater, basically because my dad needed somewhere to put me during the summer because somebody told him about it. So he plopped me in there, and that's how I started. I've been doing it since I was like 5 years old. And I just got more into it and never stopped, and tried to keep up in my game. So I really like related to that because I have friends who I've like been doing this the whole time with, friends who are working in the industry too, who started in similar places. And I really related to that scene, like imagining knowing you're going to lose somebody who's that important to you.
When I
Yeah.
saw that scene, I can tell you that I felt when I saw that scene, I felt complete love and sorrow for for all my friends who are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, because that's like part of the game that they go through.
Yeah.
And that had me thinking, how am I how am I as a person, as a straight black man, but a loving man who has COVID, um, how am I helping them and making their experience here on earth, making life here on earth, while they have to wrestle with, the idea of possibly never having a family and all of that. How am I making life easier?
Yeah.
Um, that's what got me. Let me tell you something about Susan. Okay,
Oh shit. Okay.
first of all, I did not know that Jonathan Larson had a girlfriend, a black girlfriend who was that fine. I did not know. Second of all, the actress who portrayed Susan, she's on my bad side. You want to know why she's on my bad side?
Why?
Okay, so I don't know how much you know about Alexandra Shipp, the actress who portrays Susan, but years ago, she was in a god awful Lifetime original movie about Aaliyah, and she portrayed Aaliyah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I have trouble forgiving her for that because
Is
it
it
was
her
awful.
fault, or
So
is
what?
it is it her fault that was bad, or is it like other people involved?
She played Aaliyah, man. She was
Yeah.
Aaliyah. I'm sorry, but Aaliyah. I'm sorry, but give Aaliyah an Aaliyah biography. I don't know, another 10, 20 years. I'm sorry, it was bad. If we're going to blame anyone, it's Wendy Williams, but still, she was there, so I'm kind of mad at
Yeah.
her for that.
Okay. What you're saying is there's like residual stickiness, kind of bad vibes because of that.
Not complete bad vibes, but I am a little, I am a little, mad at her for that.
Okay. Okay.
And since we're talking about the actors that were in it, first of all, Vanessa Hudgens was sadly underused.
There were a lot of actors I felt that way about. Yeah, I would agree.
I will tell you someone else who was very much underused. I want to say this about Andrew Garfield. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. First of all, I'm sorry, I'm petty. First of all, um, I saw him in Spider-Man: No Way Home. A couple weeks ago, everybody
Yeah.
was clapping for him because he was Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man. I'm like, why are we clapping for him? His Spider-Man series abruptly ended. I was clapping for
Yes.
him because of his performance as Jonathan Larson. But you know something that he did that's a huge no in 2022. He portrayed in show the Social Network. He portrayed Eduardo Saverin, who co-founded Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg.
Mm.
Mark, daggone Andrew Garfield is not Hispanic like Eduardo Saverin is.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield is a white boy.
A British white boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Which puts a little more T on his whiteness. He should
Yeah.
not be playing anyone who's Hispanic. But
Yeah.
I digress. When it comes to this particular piece, I was very impressed with his.
Wasn't that his breakthrough role though, if I'm not mistaken?
That was the first I ever heard from him.
I yeah. The thing I say is I do judge artists by their ethicality and like the decisions they make.
Right.
But I also understand there's like a weight to weigh there of like, what comes first, the career or the morals. And I get that sometimes there's a moment where you might make a call you regret, but it gets you where you need to go. I'm not justifying shit, obviously, but
Yeah.
I do think the way that Andrew Garfield talks now, I think he's aware of his privilege and I think he's aware of the mistakes he's made.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he's apologetic to some extent. That's at least my understanding. Hearing him in certain interviews, just talking about privilege and certain dynamics in Hollywood and, in general, I feel like he does possess an awareness. Kind of like if you've ever watched an interview with Penn Badgley, like he's deeply aware of the dynamics like that allow his character to behave the way he does in his universe. I think Andrew Garfield has a similar awareness and sort of maybe not a guilt, but just an understanding. You know,
I feel you. I feel you.
that's not giving him credit. I'm not okaying it at all. But
I mean, Social Network was a dope movie. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah,
Um,
um,
Another actor who was in it, who just had a rap solo. I'm like, I know you. Lynn, come on, man. You could have got more out of Black Thought, out of Tariq Trotter. Just what was that? I mean, of course, when Black Thought opens his mouth and rhymes come out, great. But the man can also act. I mean, he does have a resume in terms
yeah,
of acting.
absolutely.
What you think? What you
I
think,
I don't know. I part of me thinks that what Lin was trying to do was I don't know if it was an attempt at a nod or an attempt at setting a tone, or if he just wanted to bring Black Thought in and was like, I don't know where to do that, but he's going to be in the movie, so I'm going to figure it out. I'm really not entirely sure. I kind of would want to rewatch that section and see if there's anything we can discern from it, but I found that while it was very cool and I love Black Thought, I love his music, I love what he's about, I was excited to see him. I found it a bit jarring as well. I was like, is this just sort of to give us a feel of New York at the time? And that's why, because like, that's why Jonathan Larson has that like rap section in his to kind of give you a rhythm of the city, I guess. But I didn't understand Lynn's goal with having Black Thought there, other than it was a cool thing to do.
it was a very cool thing to do. Love Black Thought.
Yeah. No, me too. Like, of course, I love his music, and I think the political work, especially he's done, has been incredible. So I have huge, huge respect for him. But I was also confused. I also found so MJ Rodriguez was also in this. If you don't know, she was one of the main characters in Pose. She's been in some other projects as well. She's a phenomenal, phenomenal actor. You may not have even realized it was her, although because her character was wearing a pretty understated costume, but she was in a lot of shots. She was his friend who worked at the diner
I
with
knew
him.
I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. She was really great in this movie. My understanding is that she was part of the blueprint for the character Angel, though I could be mistaken. The real life counterpart she was playing, which was a
Mm.
cool. I could be mistaken on that, but I found her presence in the film pleasant. I almost wish we had gotten more of her. I felt like this movie tried so hard to slip so many cool people in that a lot of them didn't get enough time to sit with us. So we got little hints at who these people were to Jonathan. And I get that the movie is about Jonathan Larson, so it's going to focus on him. But I found it interesting that in a movie that's about Jonathan Larson, sort of learning how to be the guy he's going to be to build his legacy, his friends being such an integral part of that, having some of them be really important, like Michael or like his girlfriend, um, while others get kind of sidelined, that felt a little odd to me. But I also get that, like, whenever somebody does anything, there's hundreds of people in their life who were all integral, and we can't talk about every one of them. But I do think it was interesting to have like Vanessa Hudgens or like MJ Rodriguez in, and they were in, not that long in the film. In all honesty, I think Vanessa Hudgens gets maybe like 15 minutes of the film. I think MJ gets like 5. You know,
If you've
uh,
seen, if you've seen, if you've seen Vanessa Hudgens in any of the High School Musicals, which I haven't seen, I've never seen High School Musical, but I know it was good.
what the?
I could look at it and tell it's good. I could look at it
Okay,
and tell it's great.
okay.
But if you've seen her in any of the High School Musicals, and if you even seen her in the movie Band Slam, I don't know if you ever seen that movie. Uh, it's not a popular movie, but it's a dope movie. If you've seen her in any of that, you would know that she was tragically underused. I mean, come on. She has a voice.
Yeah. I think, again, this is a movie about Jonathan Larson, so it has to give him the most screen time. Michael is his best friend, so we give him more screen time. Girlfriend, that relationship really important. We give them a lot of screen time. I just thought it was interesting that certain characters, there were characters I felt like we wanted to know more about that we just didn't touch at all.
Who did you want to know more about?
Definitely MJ. We didn't get a lot of time with Roger Bart, who was Joshua Henry's character. I believe he was in the original production of Rent. His character, and I believe that actor was actually in the film in another section. We got a lot of time with Stephen Sondheim, which was interesting. I actually was not personally aware that Sondheim was so important to Larson's evolution as an artist. But it makes complete sense because they were. I think Sondheim was smart enough to see that what Larson was doing was going to push the art form forward and push the medium forward a lot, and maybe push conversations in that were really valuable.
I want to say first of all, what's up to my friend Aaron Dirth. Shout out to Spring Theater, they're doing great things. I know that was super random. I just happened to see a comment that she made. Shout out to her.
It's all good.
On Friday when I found out about my COVID diagnosis, she hit me up to cheer me up. So much love to Aaron, much love to her fiance Dan. They out in the Mississippi somewhere, doing the dang thing. Let's see, what was I about to say? I would like to have seen more of his relationship with his parents. You want to know one scene that like really bugged me, like really me?
What scene and why?
The part when his musical, when Superbia was first being read and whatnot, and Walter, the dude Walter, was hating on it. You know what Walter sounded like? Walter sounded like, by the way, if you are Caucasian and you're watching this, and if you're a friend of mine, love you. But there are old daggone white people that I've seen not understand the story, the scope, or the way that I structured my pieces, and just completely freak out about it. And seeing Walter do that took me there. You know what I'm saying? And the worst thing was when Sondheim was showing some love for it. He was like, "Oh yeah." And then he started, D-riding. So okay, I don't know if I answered your question. So seeing that took me to a place to where there were elderly Caucasians reading my stuff and completely not understanding what's going on, what it's saying and stuff. Just like Walter didn't understand what Larson was saying, and freaking out about it. Like I don't know how this supposed to work. I don't know what it's saying to me. Some things are just purely generational, right? Like Lorin. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me use this as an example. Though, Lorin, you are a dear friend, love you like a little brother. You're pretty much a Gen Zer, okay? So there's some things that goes on with people your age that I'm just plain out not going to understand because of my generation.
Sure.
I'll use Aaron as an example. Me and Aaron are the same age. There are things from that she says that has a generational message to it that I would understand. So I would say to any play producers or whatever out there, if someone says something that you don't understand, maybe there's a generational message to it that you are just slow to catch.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's also like there's gatekeeping in art, right? Like for every Walt Whitman, there's going to be a Robert Frost saying this guy doesn't get the form, this guy's not working as hard as the rest of us. When you're just like doing different stuff, but in the same vein, you're gonna have those people who don't appreciate what you're doing. And yeah, they have experience and there's stuff you can learn from them. That's always the case. I've had a lot of people I disagreed with artistically that I had to work for, and it taught me a lot working with them.
Right.
But there's also stuff that artistically I'm allowed to disagree with them on, and that's because I'm a younger artist and I do things in a certain way I like to do them that I think is more interesting or dynamic. And that's artistic license. That's people disagreeing. What I find problematic is situations kind of like what that character had, where you can ice somebody out of the potential to make really groundbreaking, important works of art just because you don't get it or it's not your flavor. I think that has deep. It's kind of why I'm moving towards film now as an artist, because I find theater especially is so mired in that it just makes it untenable for any of us who want to do like experimental or really dramatic work, or if you're not an Andrew Garfield type, right? As much as I love Andrew Garfield, but if you're not him or Vanessa Hudgens, like you won't work like in theater. It's a lot harder to get stuff. There's amazing experimental work. It's really hard to tap into. And like I'm realizing as far as my involvement with theater moving forward, like I'll be in plays if they're available, but I'm more interested in writing and directing for theater now and changing the landscape of what art is considered legitimate there versus being interested in acting in film, where as long as you have the money, anything will happen. It's not conditional on space or on production company. It's just about money, people, time, drive. And if everyone has their shit together, a film will get made, even a really bad one, you know? Whereas with theater, it's like you have to know the right people. You have to go through the audition process. They have to like you. They have to know you. You have to be their flavor of artist a lot of times. And if they have people in their artistic community, they don't tend to let new folks in. There's politics to it that you just don't have in film because film is still the Wild West in a lot of ways.
Okay, so we're going to not step away from.
That was a rant. I apologize, but
so what? No.
Yeah.
Because you and I both, in one way or another, have the game changing rebellious spirit in us that me and you both that Larson had in him, and the love for theater, because your deviation from theater into film does not come from, hey, I've done everything that I can do here, I'm done. No, it's more so, I don't like what y'all are doing with this art form that I love, so I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah,
that means that you are currently unfulfilled. If you, I'm saying that as a friend.
sure.
Okay, so what you don't want to do is live this life unfulfilled. I don't think that you have achieved the heights that you can achieve, that you could achieve in theater, that you have the potential to achieve. I'm gonna tell you this. And I'm pretty sure I told you this when it happened. November, and October and November. Okay, I'm wrestling theater and I'm wrestling real life, right? I was burnt, brother. Burnt TF out.
I know we had a conversation about this. I remember.
Yes. But here's where theater is getting it wrong again. Okay. In 2022, theater has become more progressive and more diverse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine walking into a theater company being one of two black people, and this is a 100% white story. It's not a universal story, it's a white story. And you gotta deal with the director who keeps interrupting you. You gotta deal with a stage manager. And you ask yourself, daggone, has she made? Does she have a? Did she make it past third grade? Sheesh. Incompetence at the highest level. You
Yeah.
gotta you gotta deal with that, and you stand back and you just say, "Yo, I don't know if I want to do this no more." And then you find yourself, because I'll mention this because I know your artistic struggle, Larson's artistic struggle was prevalent throughout this entire movie.
Yeah.
Let's talk about my artistic struggle real quick. And then next, I get into a play. I'm thinking that it's like some great stuff I could really stick my teeth into. The director was a butthole, man. So,
What,
so,
what did he do?
huh?
How was he a butthole? Like, how did it affect you?
Well, Lorin, whenever you are giving your lines, right? Whenever you're giving your lines during rehearsal, you're flowing, right? You're flowing, right?
Yeah,
You hate for that flow to be interrupted, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
The director interrupted the flow and would give me a long monologue. Be like, hey, so this is what you need to do. And I'm going off for daggone 2 hours of sleep, and the director's expecting me to retain all of that. And I remember right before I quit the play, I said, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do it no more. Now, I will shout back out Aaron and Dan, because when I did their film, season screenings, which I'm kind of like putting juice to your argument. When I did their film season screenings, that was like that was some of the most fun I've ever had. However, when I once sat in on an acting class that they did, it was a theatrical acting class. That was also very fun. So I think it comes down to who are you actually working with. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
comes down to the person. You look at the cast of Battle of the Books, right? Of course, I got to put out that. Of course, I got to put out that non
Shameless
subtle.
plug.
So what?
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug indeed. You look at the 5 people that's in it, right? Imani Zakaria. The theater world has not seen a fifth of what this young lady could do, but I have. She caught my attention. I'm like, yo, I want more of it. Caleb Kurtz, he's a film guy, but this man is a genius. You hear me? A genius. Expect to see his name in lights. Tony Browley, I've worked with this guy. He has a work ethic that I've only seen from you and me. Dana Flood, I've seen what she could do. I think that she has a wealth of talent that we have yet to see. And Miss Angela Williams Tripp, she is a legend. These are people that you will see in Battle of the Books March 19th. But you get what I'm saying? It depends on the person. It depends on the person. You gotta find someone who believes in you. William did not believe in Larson, but Sondheim did.
Yeah.
Am I
I
making
mean,
any sense? Because I know that was a long. I know that was.
no, it makes complete sense. I mean, I think also like there's a thought I've had for a while, which is any artist with the right platform, the right amount of hard work, and the right people behind them could be the next Shakespeare. With the right circumstances, the right time. You don't even necessarily have to have talent if you're passionate enough. And I've met people like that. Like I personally was blessed with talent, The part I'm trying to get better at is the hard work. I know some people who were not born with talent, but work so much harder, they edge me out, you know? And I have huge respect for that. It's incredibly impressive. And, you know, I have no doubt in my mind that those people will have fantastic careers. I think what's interesting about Jonathan Larson is he had something really, really special and he worked really hard at it. I think what is sad about him is he never really got a chance to see people in a mainstream sense really appreciate his work. He knew. He knew he was great. He obviously did. Maybe he doubted it in moments. He probably battled. He probably was thinking, do I keep doing this? Is it worth it? You know, whatever. I'm sure he had doubts. But he, at the end of the day, knew, because he would have quit otherwise. He knew that what he was making was worth it. It was worth the heartache and the pain and all the stuff that comes with it, right? And what's sad to me is that I think it was like the first performance of Rent bombed. This is like previews, I think. I think the first preview of Rent completely bombed. And then the second preview went amazingly well, had an incredible reception, and that was the one he had. I think it was an aortic aneurysm right beforehand.
Yeah, that's what took him out.
That was what took him out. So he saw his piece of art on stage, and he saw people respond to it. But I'm sure he was, you know, a proud papa because he got to see it fully. But imagine that he didn't at the end of the day get to hear it, you know, from the horse's mouth, that his art is meaningful and appreciated and impactful, you know? And I wonder also, like, what was left of his friend group, how they were impacted knowing that his work was so meaningful and not being able to celebrate it with him. You know, I wonder what that was like. Because like throughout the movie, like I don't know if this is intentional, but they do some stuff to make Andrew Garfield look pretty haggard and gaunt. If you look at Jonathan Larson, like he was, his physical health was rough. You could tell.
He was tall and lanky, yeah.
He looked like he was about to die. Like, you know, he looked like he was going to give himself an aneurysm or a heart attack. He just looked ragged. I don't mean that in like a mean way. I mean that in
no.
You can tell when somebody is just completely drained, and like he looked like it all the time, even in photos where he's smiling and stuff. And they made an effort to kind of establish that throughout the film. I mean, Andrew Garfield looks tired in this movie. He looks exhausted in every scene. And I wonder in real life, this is a speculation, obviously, what his friends and family went through when he passed. You know, maybe did they see it coming, or was it really surprising? And, you know, who knows? But I can't imagine what it was like to watch his work be so successful and not be able to celebrate that with him.
Per the No Day Like Today documentary, no, they didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Like me, when I first watched Rent, and you know, Rent very much highlights the AIDS epidemic and everything. I thought before I did my homework about Larson that possibly that's what took him out, but no, it wasn't. It was like you said, aortic aneurysm that's normally associated. That's normally a risk of someone who is tall and lanky like he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very it is tragic to see your friend work and do all that work, put so much time, energy, and work into something as big as Rent, as big as as big as Rent, because he was able to see Tick Tick Boom and everything else they tried to do.
I mean, that one went well, but it was always meant to be a workshop. I don't know that one was ever meant to make a main stage, if I'm not mistaken. That one, or maybe that one went to previews. I can't remember which. But
you talking about Tick Tick Boom?
Yeah, I thought it did decently, like off Broadway. Um, am I
Okay,
mistaken?
so tell me this. Tell me this. You may know this better than me. I have we saw the Tick Tick Boom movie, but is the Tick Tick Boom movie anything like the Tick Tick Boom musical?
Um, Again, it's I'm not as knowledgeable on Larson as I'd like to be. Um, my understanding is the sort of cabaret scenes where we see Jonathan in the theater performing. That I think is directly torn from Tick Tick Boom. A lot of it. Beyond that, I'm not sure how much is just artistic and creative license. Um, yeah.
Gotcha.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like Tick Tick Boom did decently off Broadway. Yeah, it was at the Village Gate in Greenwich, and then it was at Second Stage Theater on the Upper West Side. So it was produced by Victoria Leacock, and yeah, it went pretty well. I think the reception of that is almost what opened the door for Rent to have the opportunity to, get produced properly. Because Tick Tick Boom was intentionally really stripped down in comparison to Superbia, because that one was so high concept, it just wasn't never going to get funded. Um, so I think he intentionally made the most cabaret style piece he could, and then Rent kind of meets in the middle.
He he spent like 8 years on Superbia.
Yeah,
And when his manager said that despite all of the praise, no one's gonna pay to put it up, ooh, I could see the heartbreak in his eyes.
yeah. I will say Andrew Garfield's performance in this movie is, I mean, I've never seen him give a bad performance, honestly speaking. But I think this is a movie where he really gets to shine. His performance as this character, it almost feels like he was born to do it. It's gripping, it's vulnerable, it's honest, and it's heartbreaking to watch what he goes through in this film. It feels so real, like, because like we've all been there, right? Sometimes you miss a bill to pay for something in a project. Like
Been there.
sometimes the lights go out and you have to figure things out. And the way watching a really nuanced and just incredibly competent and talented actor like Andrew Garfield really react honestly and vulnerably to those different moments, those gut punches, especially the final one, that that was deeply moving. I think this might be his best performance in anything I've seen him in. To be honest, I think he put his all into this one.
So so I'm guessing that you would applaud Lin Manuel Miranda's first time directing.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially seeing a lot of the interviews he did with Garfield about this film and with some of the producers. Like, you can go look. There's quite a few videos of this on YouTube. They did as press stuff, and yeah, I think he did a really phenomenal job. I think there's some totally odd moments here and there.
Odd.
Some tone shifts are a little jarring in the film, and I don't know if that's the nature of the original musical being worked into the film, or if it's just the fact that this is a jarring story to tell. But there were some moments that felt like, okay, we've set information up. Now it's time for the song because there has to be a song, right? Like there were a couple moments like that. Like the diner song was great, but that felt like classic Broadway. Like there has to be a song here, so here's one in a diner. All
I
around
was about to
me.
ask you, what did you think about the diner scene?
Uh,
Like, did Lin Manuel Miranda really have to make that little cameo speaking all that Spanish?
you know, it's his movie.
It's
I
his
don't
movie.
know. It's his movie. He can do it how he wants to, right?
But
I have to say the attention to detail with things like the set, the design, keeping things really period, really understanding who Jonathan Larson was a person and how he moved through the world and how he affected people, getting people who knew him closely involved in this film and giving them cameos or moments to pop up. I think this really was a love letter to somebody who I think has shaped a lot of people's careers. He's affected me. Many of the people I know, even nowadays, Rent really affected us. I know my girlfriend, I don't want to speak too much for her, but Rent was a really important piece of art to her. I know for me, it was one of the first times I went to a musical and I was like really gripped by it, and like I felt like it was about shit that was close to home because like my dad is gay and a lot of his friends are gay, so like people in my life who I grew up around were living this stuff. Like my dad was in LA and then I think New York as well during the AIDS crisis. And the way he talks about it, it's like hearing a Vietnam veteran talk about like a war story. Like, like he said I think he said he lost 10 different friends in the span of like 3-4 years. Like, and it's just like talking to his friends and people who I really consider my family, like they all talk about it like they were in a war. You can really feel that that collective trauma. And I think this film does capture some of that. I think it understands the importance of that in Jonathan Larson's story. And I think there's, first of all, the music is phenomenal. Even if some of it feels contrived at moments, there are other moments that are so narratively impactful with the music that I almost give it a pass because it's just so well done in other portions that I'm just like, well, shit, you earned that, Like you I'll give you that one because it was worth it to get to this moment. I think there are a lot of incredible performances. I think sorry, I'm trying to look at her names. I'm not good at remembering the names of different performances, unfortunately. I think Alexandra Shipp as Susie Wilson, I think she gives an incredible performance. I think Robin de Jesus as Michael gives a phenomenal performance. Andrew Garfield knocks it out of the fucking park. So if you want to see Vanessa Hudgens, she doesn't have a lot of acting to do, but she gives great vocal performances in this. I think this movie fires well on a lot of cylinders. I think the music is on point. I think the pacing is decent, even though it can be jarring and a little disconnected at times because it's stuck in the trap of being a musical. And I think Lin is attached to how musicals kind of slip music in sometimes when it doesn't need to be there. But there are also so many moments where the music is motivated that it gets away with that for me. I think the costume design, the set design is really, a lot of work was put in to be detailed, in-depth, accurate. It's gripping. It's a very pretty film. It's gorgeous to look at. There's great cinematography.
It gave that 1990 New York in 1990
yeah.
film.
If you've been to New York, like I have a lot of friends and family up there, like there's like a feeling in the air when you're there. And I definitely I think this film picks up on that. I don't know how to explain it, but there's just like a smell or like a grime that sticks to things, and this film really captures that. I think as far as a really meaningful narrative that talks about what it means to be an artist, what Jonathan Larson went through, the people around him, this film really knocks it out of the park. I don't know if we're doing ratings or anything, but for me, I give this film like 4 out of 5 stars, maybe a 4.5, because it's very strong entry. It does a lot of good work. I think
Lorin, I want to ask, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I think I can't tell if it's your internet or mine, but stuff's been slowing around. It's down a little bit. Um, sorry. Oh, shoot. Okay, 1 second. I think Adrian just disconnected. So I'm going to check in with him. I will be right back. I'll try to figure this out. Okay, guys, I have an update. Adrian's internet went out while we were filming this, so I will wait a little bit longer until he's back on the air and we'll continue our conversation. Um, I've been ranting about my opinions on this and why I think it's good or what have you. It's not a perfect movie, but there's a lot of really beautiful moments. I want to hear what Adrian thinks, but I definitely give it a 4.5 out of 5. If you know about this, if it's interesting to you, if this material is impactful to you, or if any of Jonathan Larson's art has ever affected you, go watch this movie. It's great. Um, it's definitely worth checking out. Adrian is still getting things figured out, but yeah, I definitely think this is a piece of art worth seeing. Um, I think a discussion can be had about whether or not Jonathan Larson was entirely ethical in the way that he talked about people in his life or used their stories. How appropriate it is to take another person's story and try to tell it in your way. But every artist is guilty of that. So how do you draw the line appropriately and respectfully? I don't know. And I think, if he'd had a chance to live a normal lifespan, maybe he would have recognized that and apologized or atoned for it, but he didn't get the chance. He died young. Uh, okay. Adrian says he's about to log back on. So, um, yeah. I will be right back and I'll wait until he gets back. Okay. Adrian's not back yet, but yeah. I'm not sure what to say. I could give a biography of Jonathan Larson right now, but I'm assuming whoever is watching or listening to this knows who he is. Obviously, his three well-known or really complete works were Superbia, Tick Tick Boom, and Rent. Rent definitely was the most impactful piece of work he put out. Died of an aortic aneurysm at the age of 35. He was an American composer, lyricist, playwright. He wanted to approach a lot of different issues like addiction, multiculturalism, homophobia, classism. Adrian just updated me. He says his computer is bugging out, so we'll see. We may I'm not sure if this recording session is how much of it's going to get used, but he's figuring that out right now. Okay, what else? So I guess we'll just go through the early years. We'll just keep it simple. Source here, of course, is the Wikipedia page. I'm a simple man. Some of the things on Wikipedia have good citations. If you want to do that research, you do it yourself. I'm just going to keep it simple here. So Larson was born on February 4th, 1960. His family was Jewish. His grandfather was born in Russia, changed the family surname from Lazarson to Larson. He was exposed to performing arts, especially music and theater, from a very early age. He played the trumpet, tuba, sang in his school's choir, took formal piano lessons. His early musical influences were his favorite rock musicians, Elton John, the Beatles, the Doors, the Who, Billy Joel. There were also classical composers he was into, and especially of theatrical works. He was a huge fan of Stephen Sondheim, which is interesting given that Sondheim ended up becoming his biggest advocate. Really when his career had the opportunity to take flight. Larson was, of course, involved in acting in high school, as many of us are. He was performing lead roles in various productions at White Plains High School. Wikipedia's page just says he had a sister, Julie. Nothing about her. He graduated in 1978. He was active in drama and theatrical productions. Moves to New York. Attends Adelphi University in Garden City. He had a 4-year scholarship as an acting major, in addition to performing in numerous plays and musical theater. During his college years, he began musical composition. He composed music for small student productions called cabarets. And later scored a musical entitled Libro de Buen Amor. It was written by the department head at the time. That same individual was Larson's mentor during his college education. He got his BFA. He performed in summer stock theater programs at the Barn Theater in Augusta, Michigan as a piano player. He earned his equity card. And then he moved to a loft with no heat in Greenwich Street, at the corner of Greenwich and Spring Street in Lower Manhattan. He was on the 5th floor, lived with various roommates, one of whom was Greg Beals, a journalist for Newsweek magazine. For 9.5 years, he was a waiter at Moondance Diner on the weekends and worked composing and writing musicals during the week. At the diner, Larson met Jesse L. Martin, who is waiting trainee and later would perform the role of Tom Collins on the original cast of Rent. Larson and his roommates lived in pretty harsh conditions with little money or property. This is addressed a lot in the movie. There are a lot of moments that show sort of that financial trouble. One second, Adrian's calling me. Okay, I am back. Adrian says he'll be back on in a couple minutes. He's just sorting some things out with his equipment.
I am ADQ, and technology is a pain to keister.
There he is. Adrian, you joined me. I took a little break, but I was explaining sort of Jonathan Larson's life, just really basic summary. I talked through a couple more points that I just wanted to finish up and get out of my system. I wouldn't say they're super important. It's all good. I guess what I to sum it up, I've already said it like twice, but I'd personally give this movie like a 4.5 out of 5. I think while it could go deeper in certain areas and there's some pacing and timing issues, for the most part, it's a narratively satisfying and emotionally vulnerable piece of art The music is fantastic for the most part, although some pieces of music maybe don't need to be there, but it earns those pieces of music because some of the other ones are so emotionally impactful, it kind of erases the previous mistakes. It does a really good job in set design, in timing, and just keeping it to the period. There's a lot of work they do to bring people from Jonathan's life into the film, people who were involved in his early works of art in. The apartment is literally one-for-one replication of his real-life apartment, down to a T. This film is a love letter to Larson and really understands what he and other artists go through. And I think it's a wonderful piece of art. It's worth viewing, and it's worth putting your money into it to get it, or a Disney Plus membership. So that's kind of my final verdict.
I remember you saying that you had some questions about it.
Yeah, I definitely do. It was something I kind of
I can answer. Maybe I can answer. Maybe in my lots of wisdom, I could answer your questions about Lorin.
Which questions, just so I can
all of them, like what I don't know, what's the first question that comes to your mind?
I think it's not a question so much as I think a conversation should be had about did Jonathan Larson, because some people think that Jonathan Larson's use of the struggles of different friends and people in his life or people in his circles to create Rent. Some people think that was a tributary, that was respectful and loving, and it was like in service of or to, and definitely via impact it has been. But some people have also argued that it could have been somewhat exploitative and somewhat removed from his personal experiences, and that it may not have been appropriate for him to take those stories and tell them in the way he did, maybe without the nuance or depth those people could speak about it with. And kind of what I said earlier is he died at 35. He didn't get a chance to be told that he could have done better and then try to do better. He just did his best.
Also, I would like to throw out there, sorry, Coach Wall, but also in the 90s, they weren't really having, you wouldn't know, man, because you didn't experience the 90s. It was a great time. It was a great time. But in the 90s, they weren't really having these confrontal, real, quote unquote, woke conversations that they're having today. So I would say that maybe Larson didn't know that he was doing wrong. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm saying. I think he did the best he could. I think maybe he did some things wrong, but I think he did the best he could. And ultimately, the work he created was impactful in really positive ways. And I think the conversation should just be had of what's an ethical way to talk about this man, both respectfully while also understanding his flaws. I think this movie gets that right in some ways. There are a lot of moments where the film is really explicit that Jonathan Larson was not always a good person, that he did make mistakes. He did treat people around him sometimes very coldly, particularly his girlfriends. In some scenes, there are a lot of moments where because this film, and I think the musical Tick Tick Boom in a lot of ways, are about the balance between your life and your art. What do you give up? What do you keep? And I think Jonathan Larson's trouble was he was not comfortable enough being vulnerable to have that conversation in a productive way. And so there are moments where he really seriously hopes to him out of frustration with that dynamic, that dichotomy, that inability to get what he wants. So I do respect this film, I guess, for having moments where he's not perfect, where he's in fact a bad person, objectively. He's a good person overall in the film because he has to be. It's about him, and we want to celebrate his life and his work. But I do appreciate the moments that call him out when he needs to be called out, because he does make some pretty serious mistakes in the narrative. And I think, like any human being, he made mistakes in real life. And I think sugarcoating that or not discussing it would be a disservice to him and his legacy, his story.
I would ask what's another question that you would have about the film.
I guess I would, I go back and forth. I guess my questioning would be on Lin Manuel Miranda working on this. I love Lin. I love the work he did on this film. I think the music he did was wonderful. I think he understands the emotional significance of moments and let them live. And I like that he branched out and tried new musical styles we haven't heard him do before. Um, I also want to have that conversation of like, I mean, you were frustrated when he kind of inserted himself and had that cameo scene, and
I wasn't really frustrated. I was just wondering why, But
yeah,
then again, it was a scene that featured a whole lot of Broadway legends. You
yeah,
know, he'll be looked. History will look at Lin Manuel Miranda as a Broadway legend. So why
yeah.
not? So then again, why not insert himself in there?
And like any artist or person, he's a nuanced person and nuanced individual with a lot of facets of his own. I guess we could have a conversation of, you know, where does Lin Manuel get it right on this film, and where does he maybe not get it so right?
That's
There's some great moments like the moment in the pool where the lines on the bottom of the pool become staff music, like staff paper, and he starts writing a song. That was an incredible sequence. I think the sequence when he's in the rain singing about his best friend was really well shot, written, and produced, and acted, of course, masterfully. I think the moments between Jonathan and Susie are impactful and powerful. Um, I do wonder if Lynn's Broadway isms at some point strengthen and at other points kind of weaken the film. But at the same time, it's a film about a guy who was obsessed with Broadway, who was obsessed with musical theater, who was obsessed with the kind of the corniness of it, and the cliche nature of it. So do we remove that and ignore it and try to really tighten and sharpen things up, or do we let that be a part of the movie and it means some scenes are really goofy and kind of annoying and other scenes are really, really impactful and beautiful and wonderful? I
music
don't.
theater in a nutshell.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, because again, I have my own complex thoughts on musical theater, but I do feel like there were moments where Lynn maybe got trapped a little bit by the conventions in musical theater, where it may have been better if in certain moments it was just watching him exist in that space in that time rather than having to put another song in that would have been meaningful. I'm not sure, right?
What you got to say about musical theater, man?
Nothing. I like musical theater. I grew up doing it, watching it, etc.
I
Um,
love musical theater.
Me too. I adore it.
I got
But
that
I'm
history
also
making musical theater.
no, I love musical theater, but I also come from a mental background. I come from the underground scene in Durham, and we do things a little differently there. You know, and I love music, but I also think things need to serve a purpose, and there are a lot of songs in that film that definitely serve a purpose and are really meaningful, impactful, and wonderful, or beautiful, or sweet moments. And then there are a couple in there that I'm just like, why is this here? Like I love Black Thought showing up, but I don't know why he's there. You
And
know, I don't know why that scene was in the show. You
nothing
know,
about Jonathan Larson says I'm going to be bebopping through the subway of New York with Black Thought. Absolutely nothing.
it also the one point he supposedly introduces hip hop there is at like kind of an angry moment for him, and I didn't like that. Like I think there's this conception that hip hop is this angry thing, and it can be, but really it's a vibrant thing and it follows human emotion. So like it was a weird insert for me. I just don't know why it was there, and it kind of felt weird to me.
The person who made the song Vibrant Thing is a legend
Yeah.
and has made so many facets of hip hop. The person in question I am talking about is Q-Tip. I want to ask you this. I want to ask you this, man.
Go ahead.
Have we forgiven Lin Manuel Miranda of his transgressions?
Which ones in particular are we addressing? So I can.
Which ones in particular? Okay, so for those who have been asleep or whatever, allow me to pick my COVID brain and tell you. Last summer, people were mad at Lin Manuel because of the lack of representation of Afro Latinos or Latina or Latinx, we'll say Latinx, members of the Afro Latinx community in the Heights. People were mad at Lin Manuel. I wasn't mad because I'm Afro, but I'm not Latinx. so it didn't affect me directly. Recent it's kind of like, Tick Tick Boom is so good you can't help but forgive him. But then he really, really paid for it. He really did got it right recently in Encanto.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say we should talk about Encanto as well if we're gonna talk about Lin's impact right now, and I guess
I've been watching it, but I've been having trouble getting into it. I would have to watch it again.
Watch it again, man. It's what were your thoughts on it? Let me hear that first. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun.
Well, I will first of all say that my friend Nico, who's also like a little brother to me, who is a whole minister. He's a whole minister, but he was a theater major at A&T, but he's currently a whole minister. Pastor, location pastor of Mercy Hill. I don't think I could say anything else. Let me just stop right there. He's a pastor. What was I getting at? Oh yeah, he's a pastor. Even he was saying that Encanto was dope. He said that he looked at me and said, "If you are going to call yourself an artist, you need to watch Encanto."
It's good. And what I like, so Encanto is to me an objectively just dope movie, because we have a whole family of superheroes, and the thing that fixes the potentially world-ending problem is not fighting some bad guy. It's not singing a song. It's not like this crazy moment where they fix a spell. It is about like family therapy. It's about familial trauma and conversations and unspoken thoughts. And in many ways, the different characters in that film almost embody different mental health disorders. Like Bruno in particular really exhibits like things like he exhibits a lot of stuff that reminds me of friends of mine who have OCD, like
introverted.
No. Like specific repetition of stuff to feel safe, like an anxiety thing. Like each character reacts really differently to stuff. Like some characters really repress things. Some characters do things completely in service of other people. We have a whole cast of characters who are different personality types. And the thing that solves the movie is familial reconciliation, conversation, and ultimately kind of a group therapy session. Like literally therapy fixes this family. They have to rebuild their home literally together. And that's what brings the magic back. And I think like the music in that film, there's not a weak song. The characters are beautiful, performances are great. Visuals, of course, are amazing. And I have to give Lin Manuel credit for that. I don't know how much of the representation was his call, because I don't know how much of that film he wrote. I think he just did the music.
He did the music and he co-wrote the story. And trust me. Obviously, I was not in the meetings or any of that, but I know that having a Latino part of the family was a Lin call. He was like, hey, they tried to cancel me once because of this Afro-Latino thing. There are black Latinx people out there. Put them in there.
I can't say whose call that was. I'm really glad it happened. It was beautiful. It was meaningful. I know a couple people who I'm close to who are really affected by that and really appreciated that deeply. So I was glad to see that in there.
I promise you I promise you, if that movie was written before In the Heights was written, I promise you I mean, if it isn't, unless it was, I mean, I'm sure it was written long before In the Heights, but I'm pretty sure that move was in some way, shape, or form affected by In the Heights.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think some mistakes were made within the Heights. You know, I like a lot of things about it, but I think some mistakes were made. I think if you look at the original production as well, Lin playing a main character who was supposed to be the child of an African immigrant, that was like, at least that was my understanding, or he was Dominican. I can't remember which. I'm sorry. I'm getting my facts wrong, so I shouldn't.
Oh my God, he's Dominican, man.
I'm sorry. I had a moment.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm sorry. That's my bad. But I know that Lin shouldn't have played that character. I do know that. You know, at least not. It feels weird to me, right?
Lorin.
Yeah.
Lorin. Lin is Puerto Rican, right?
Yeah.
Was Alexander Hamilton Puerto Rican? No.
That's fair.
Also,
that's fair.
Also, you write a dope musical, which I know that you have. I know that you have the potential to do so. You write a dope musical. Just sit back and listen to all these songs. And be like, Dad, gone. I am a genius. This is good. And see, don't you cast yourself in the main role?
I'll give you. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Here's my thing. I'm not ragging on Lin because I'm really proud of the impact he's had overall. I'm really proud and impressed by the art he's made, especially this past couple years. But you brought up the question of, do we quote unquote forgive him? And I don't know. I think he's done a lot to win some points back, right? And even though he did things I didn't like or disagree with, didn't like, or maybe I didn't agree with, it doesn't mean I don't appreciate him and his impact and I'm not thankful, because, I mean, look, Hamilton was the first time I went to a show and saw actors that looked like me on stage and saw actors that look like my friends and my family, like people who aren't biologically my family, but I see as my family, like friends of mine I've had since I was 5-6 year old. People I work with every day, people who look like you and me, we were on that stage. And so, yeah, that was impactful to me. I remember going, I've probably told this story on the podcast before. I went with my friend. I went with my friend freshman year. She got tickets out of somehow. I don't know how she finagled them, but she got some tickets. We went and saw it together, and she's Asian American. And we were both like weeping in the first 5 minutes of seeing that show because we saw people who looked like us on the stage. And we just didn't get to do that very often. It was like, and I'm thankful. And that's because of Lin Manuel Miranda. So I can't just hate on the dude. And I don't.
I'll tell you this. I would say that Lin Manuel Miranda very much loves and respects Jonathan Larson. I would say that Lin Manuel Miranda has a similar effect on me because so this is when I first heard In the Heights. I was stuck at Guilford College, right?
Yeah.
A wonderful young lady by the name of Reva Fairhall, shout out to her, gave me a ride to Winston-Salem, right? Because I was living in Winston at the time. She was like, hey, I'm going to do this favor for this guy. He ain't going to, don't worry about gas money. And she just blasted In the Heights. I was like, this was like winter 2014, not 2015. This is fall 2015. I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Did the world stop spinning? Did Jesus return? What in the world is this? Lin Manuel Miranda, and I'm pretty sure a whole lot of other hip hop heads would say this. Took hip hop to Broadway.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't deny.
Broadway is not traditionally a space for hip hop, but we've been talking a whole lot about diversity and stuff over the years. Lin Manuel Miranda is not the only one to make it happen, but he packed a powerful fist and making it happen.
But I'll also be honest. I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of long running dope shows that have been around for a while that used hip hop as part of their premise. Like there was one I saw called I think it was Othello the Remix, and that was Othello the play as a rap album performed live. It was dope. I saw this in New York like senior year of high school. And they've been running that for like 5-6 years, I think, at that point.
It's possible to rap Shakespeare. It is.
Yeah. No. It works really, really, really well, actually. It works beautifully. But I think what's interesting about Lin is he was the one to, one, have the reach, and two, he's done it the most competently in the mainstream to legitimize it in a Broadway space. Because he was already respected and appreciated to an extent, and he was able to create pieces of art that legitimized hip hop while having them be more like commercially viable, and that's opened a huge door. You know, I do respect that, and I'm not sure anyone else may have been able to pull that off. So hats off to him for that as well. Like,
and so you wonder, and so what was I getting at? And so one will wonder, well, why does he love Jonathan Larson so much? I mean, Jonathan Larson, he brought rock to Broadway.
Yeah.
Broadway wasn't rocking out like they were rocking in Rent.
No, they were not. He also brought, like Broadway had a lot of queer coding, right? Because obviously gay people have been working on stuff and, for years, but he brought gay people explicitly to the Broadway stage in a way that was positive and beautiful. And he showed different versions of that. He showed people living different lives. And he talked about stuff that was relatable. He was talking about things like classism. He's talking about having a dream. He was talking about addiction. He was talking about different communities of color. He was talking about gay people going through what they were going through with the AIDS crisis. That's a meaningful conversation to be having. And he was the one able to get it through the door and make it a mainstream conversation in theater.
That reminds me of the part when he was in the advertiser's office and the lady asked, when you think about America, what do you think? And he said empire, racism, genocide, Vietnam.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like there's a lot of moments where you can feel his spirit in that, and I do think he was deeply critical of the nation we live in. I think you can feel that in his musical.
You can feel that in Grant because listen to Mark and Roger sing "Living in America."
Yeah,
not the James Brown version, but this is a whole different version.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's obvious he had some opinions and some nuance to the way that he thought about things. And I guess Tick, Tick, Boom, it's about legacy and it's about people figuring out what to do with the time that they have. And I think we talk about Lin Manuel in the same way we talk about Jonathan, because it's probably something he struggled with too. And I think it's something we all struggle with is how do you, I don't think there's any set purpose for people. I think we make our purpose where the universe tells us what we should do, and we decide to take that and run with it, or we choose to do something else. And I think we only have so much time to do this, whatever this is, this life thing. And I think as artists, we all question, how do we use this time? What do we leave behind? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why do we love this so much? Why is it like an addiction that we're willing to be poor and struggle and go through hell every single day, the daily grind, working? Like, I work 3 jobs when I'm not in school, you know, and that's just to survive so I can make art. And you know, why do you do that? I think Lin, through this film, and I think Jonathan Larson, kind of conclude that it's not about whether you get big and famous. It's not about whether you get syndication or distribution. It's about, did you make something meaningful, and are you willing to sacrifice and do it again? You know?
Well, I think that was a great point that you put out there. Me having lived this life longer than you have. By the way, if you happen to listen to this and you happen to watch this and wondering how the heck am I such good friends with someone who's daggone 13 years younger than I am? No, he helps me. He allows me to tap into my youthful artistic energy, and he's one of the real ones to be around. He is like him and the Kayla Knox, who also is 13 years younger than I am, are the only people from my UNCG days who I communicate with on the regular. Anyway, this is what I think. I'm going to come from a Christian perspective. I know you're not Christian like I am, but hey man, you ain't got to shake your head like that just for that.
No. What I mean is, I said, like, go ahead. Like, this is like your lens of access, right?
Just
so
that lens. Still, just for that, when I'm done with COVID, I'll bring you. We going to church together one day. There you go.
Okay, I'm down.
So, one of my favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 29:11, where it's written, "I know the plans that I have for you, plans to have a future, plans for a future." I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's Jeremiah 29:11. And I know that my gifts, everything that I have, God is the giver. And so while I have these gifts and stuff, they must be intertwined somehow to my destiny and what it is I'm supposed to do on this earth. So why am I shelling out so much money to put a Battle of the Books March 19th and the Fantastic Performance Film? See what I just did there? Why am I doing that? Why have I put so many countless hours into community theater? Why did I put so much time into being a theater major at UNCG and at Guilford College? Why? Because that's just the way we're built, Lorin. That's the way the good Lord has made us. Art to us is just as natural as breathing. And when you can't make art, when you're an artist and you can't make art, you can't breathe. Michael said I was a mediocre actor, and he hung it up. But you bet he at least went to the workshop and saw the workshop and enjoy the workshop. You can make the art, you could be a patron of the art. Either way, the art is going to be in your life.
Yeah.
And to make art, to put all that we put into it, again, that's just the way we're built, bro. That's just the way we're built.
Yeah.
We go through the craziest while building it. I mean, while making it. But I know that when it's all said and done, and I look back at my life, I have no regrets, man. I have no regrets. I do not regret the hours that I put into my art. And I know that Larson, wherever he's at, he wouldn't look back at all of the time he put into Rent, because look what Rent has become. And if Rent wouldn't have even become the worldwide phenomenon that it is, at least he did what he was built to do.
Yeah. No, I
I know
look.
that was deep.
I have the utmost respect for Jonathan Larson and the legacy he left behind, and I have deep respect for Lin Manuel and the legacy he's going to leave behind. And I guess the point of this movie, and I guess what Adrian and I are trying to leave people with at home, is that question. And maybe this is what we've been talking about the entire time: is what is your legacy and what do you want to do with it? You know, you people think you get to 40 and you're old, and it's like, no, you have half your life still left, right? 40 is young. So no matter what you're doing right now, you could be like me working on a construction site just to get day money, or running deliveries, or you could be a nurse or a social worker or whatever you want to do, or maybe you work at McDonald's. Maybe you're successful, maybe you're a banker or something, but like if you have something you want to do that you feel meant to do, even if you're not good at it right now, if you feel like that's the thing you're going to do and you'd feel happy doing it, 40 isn't old. Go do it. Go do it. Try it. See what happens. Leave a legacy.
I hope when you turn 40 and I'll be 53, you'll still be saying 40 isn't old.
I'm gonna try to maintain that energy, because I have so much I want to do. And if getting to 40 stops me from doing that, that's gonna be sad.
Nah, man, there's so many people in their 40s who there's so many. I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna wrap it up, man. I think it was a great discussion, except for when my computer started tripping. I am at the age where people start. I'll put it this way. Yo. A line from the movie really just hit me. I am at the age, just like Larson was at the age, where you go from where you're not an artist but where you have to make the distinction between, am I an artist who just happens to work as a waiter, or am I a waiter with a hobby, right? Am I an assistant teacher? Am I an artist who just happens to be an assistant teacher, or am I an assistant teacher with an expensive hobby? I am an artist who just happens to have been blessed to make some dope bank working with kids. Unfortunately, I can't go back to work until the 6th because of this daggone COVID. But you get what I'm saying? You define who you are. Lorin, we're both artists. We're both artists. And one day, people are going to be saying, "Man, yo, did you see what Lorin Kaplan put out? Did you see that? Did you see that play? Did you see that film? Man, look what ADQ put out." You know why? Because guess what? When I was in that play back in October, I cringed at it because it was so white. Look. I'm being real. I'm being real. A friend of mine said, white dude, right? Caucasian dude. He said that the day for all of these plays that are like super whitewash theater, that they did. Theater looks like theater now in 2022. It's supposed to look like him, me, you, and whoever else is playing. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's a piece that just really must be, have the bulk of the cast be of a particular ethnicity. Like, Lorin, I'm sorry, brother. I love you, man, but you can't play the entire cast of Color Purple.
No, hell no. Hell no. And thank God for that. Look, specificity isn't bad. We've
Right.
just had one kind of specificity for the entirety of theater up until like 40 years ago. At least in the mainstream in the Western world. Like, yeah, no, I agree. Like, some plays aren't for certain people. That's okay. Right?
Yeah. And that daggone sure can be daggone Diary of Van Frank.
No. No, that would
But
not fly.
But diversity is a good thing because Martin Luther King said that diversity as root open allows people to see things that they wouldn't normally see. So that being said, Lauren, you said something about plugging your homies' plays real quick.
Yeah. Let me pull this up real quick so I don't get it wrong, because I've been kind of flying off the cuff tonight, and I don't want to say anything incorrectly.
Hey man, those are the best episodes if you ask me.
I'm glad you feel that way.
I really do. Brother Wingo, how you doing?
So yeah, all right. So I'm gonna plug this really quickly. So if y'all remember Amanda Almodovar, I always say her name wrong. I love her. She's the sweetest, super incredible actor, great writer. I've worked on a couple different projects with her. We did 11 Candles with You last winter.
Yeah.
And then last March, I worked with her on a piece called Terrifying with a director named Dennis. He is involved in a set of Beckett plays. It's 3 Beckett ghost plays. It's through the same production company. It's Other Only Windows. It's got my friend Rachel Horowitz. She was in Terrifying. She's an amazing young actress. Fantastic. Same age as me. I don't know why young, but fantastic actor. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. This is going to be happening on... it's going to be Raleigh Late Night Theater at the Pure Life Theater with free parking. Tickets are $10. It's going to be January 28th and the 29th at 10 p.m. and then January the 30th at 3 p.m. I don't know everybody who's working on this, but I know enough people who are working on this to know it's going to be a really special piece of art. It's definitely worth checking out. I highly recommend y'all check it out. ADQ is going to say this again, but check out Battle of the Books. That's going to be amazing, obviously. I can't wait to go see that, as long as Omicron isn't too bad and all that shit. But I'm really, really stoked to just see more theater. But please, guys, artists right now, more than ever, like, it may not seem important to you, but like a workshop or just like a couple productions in one weekend, a couple showings in one weekend, that can be the difference between deciding to stick with this and not. Please show up. Please show up. Even if it's only in the smallest way you can, please show up. It means the world.
Man, I really hope Omarion is not going to come and just wipe everything out. Hey, you know
my favorite meme right now.
You know the singer Omarion, right?
Yeah, of course. No, that's my favorite COVID meme right now.
Yeah. Okay. So he actually put out a video the other day saying, "I am an artist. I am not a COVID variant." But anyway, and also, I would like to tell you here on ADQ's Renaissance, Lorin, if you ever write a play and direct it, please let me know, because I will be happy that you are back, that you are still doing the theater.
Yeah.
Yes. If you need an actor, let me know. But also, the purpose of this particular 501c3. See, look at that.
Yes. Yes.
The purpose of that particular 501c3 is to also not only serve as a production house for joints that I write and produce, but to co-fund projects that I believe in. So if COVID or Omarion don't take me out, which is not going to, Oh, I'm gonna be alive for a long damn time. Long time. Can't no Omarion stop me. Touch, doom, 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 touch. Nah. Man, that's when I'm gonna remix that mode when I go back into the world. I'm gonna be like, doom, 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 don't touch, doom, 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 don't touch. Mr. Adrian, you're mean. You're daggone right. I got an ice box where my heart used to be. Anyway, I'm crazy. Anyway, I would like to help. I plan to co-fund and co-produce works that I believe in. I would definitely believe in something that you put out, my man. Definitely.
I don't have any details yet, but this semester, this next like 3-4 months, I will be doing a lot of writing. So I probably will get back to you with something. I have some ideas. You know, I haven't acted in a little bit. I did a project recently that I can't talk too much about because it's not fully finished in the editing. You turned me on to that. Thank you, by the way, brother. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. I think I know
the one with Damien Westfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a cool project. I hope I'll have more information on that so I can plug it here. But since then, I haven't really worked on much, and I've just had ideas bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. So I have like 4 months here to just like write whatever I want and kind of make it. So I'm going to be doing that.
Use it.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will definitely be sending you some things. Don't worry.
You do that. I'll just say real quick. Wrote My Way Out. Have you ever heard of the song Wrote My Way Out?
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you. I heard Lin Manuel Miranda's heart in that. You know, Nas, it's hard for me. I love Nas, especially his new Magic album. Oh, man. Woo. That was a Christmas present. But dang, I was about to say something really deep and dope and powerful, and it just escaped me. What in the blue frequent man? COVID is messing me up right now. Come on, Marion, why you messing with me, man? But oh yeah. I wanted to say real quick, y'all look out for Street Logic. If you would like to donate to Street Logic, the information on how to donate to Street Logic should be on the page. I'm acting in there. Shout out to Ty Durden. Shout out to Renaissance Jones. They are writing. They wrote and directed it. Dope joint. Look out for Black Tony Soprano. I'm in there. They're written by my man Ronald Lavender. I'm in there. You know, playing Big Chris. So look out for more episodes of that. Check out In the Nick of Time. They're on their 3rd season. I am making a little cameo in the first episode. So you know, shout out to everybody over at Nick of Time. Shout out to my little homie Caleb Kurtz. We are we have hit Cannes Film Festival, the short film festival. I'm saying all this right now, Lorin, to keep you motivated. Just let you know that.
Yeah.
You see what guys doing my old behind, man. You know what I'm saying? And also, and last but not least, Battle of the Books. Battle of the Books. March 19th, 2022, Bandai Performance Space, Greensboro, North Carolina, 200 North Davie Street here in Greensboro, in Greensboro Cultural Center. $10 for adults, $5 for kids, free for any kid that's on the AB honor roll. Come see it. This event, dang on my teeth yellow, but this event is not must see. It's can't miss. You will. Even if you only have one leg, you will take that one leg and kick yourself in the forehead for missing it. You do not want to miss Battle of the Book. Caleb Kurtz, Imani Zakaria, Tony Bradley, Dana Flood, Angela Williams Tripp. I have the cream of the crop when it comes to casting. So look out for it. Lorin, it was incredible talking to you, my man. Thank you for hearing me blabber, and thank you for holding things down when my computer was acting like a Democrat. Anything that you would like to add before we tap out?
I just wanted to say I'm sorry, folks, that you had to witness me try to figure out the broadcast on my own. Adrian, thank you for having me back. I look forward to the next time we talk. I know the topics are always real and always interesting. It's always an honor to be here. And look out, y'all. I got some things coming.
And again, when the things come, you need a director, holla at your boy. If you need help getting it funded, holla at your boy. You know why?
We will definitely talk.
Yes, because I believe in you, Lorin. I
I
believe
believe in you too, man.
Thank you. This has been ADQ's Renaissance. I am ADQ. That's Lorin Kaplan. Peace. And this is the part where I short the screen and end the broadcast.